Righto, so we're going to now talk about mastery. So this, in terms of the definition, is about the commercial, enterprising part of the definition, going from chaos to control. Okay, there's 4 areas of mastery, everyone. How many? 4. First one is, read it out. Then, and finally, delivery. So I'm just going to go and break these down. Literally, I could teach tonight's seminar over about a week, but we're going to do it all in 2 hours. Therefore, I'm going to kind of have to keep the speed going. All right, is that okay that you try to keep up? Yeah? Okay, good. Destination mastery. The business is there as a vehicle for you to have more in your personal life. Doesn't matter whether you work for someone else or it's your business. The business is designed as a platform, yes, to add value to your client base, and it also, for that to be a fair exchange, must improve the quality of your life, i.e. get you to your dreams and goals. Do you think that'd be a good idea if we designed the business to do that? Yes or no? Okay. Most people have poor clarity on what a perfect life looks like. When we start with people, we normally always go through and say, well, what does that look like? What is your perfect life? Let's actually write some of those expectations that you want down so that when we turn around to the business model that we've got, we can see whether that will actually deliver what I actually do want. Do you think that's a fair alignment that we need? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. So at the first part, we must do that. Okay, there are many different ways to that. I'm going to actually get you now to score yourself out of 10 on this one. Hang on. Here's your gradient. 10 out of 10 is you have exceptional clarity. You've written it down. Most people with their dreams and goals will only think them. Okay, some of them will then discuss them with a spouse or someone, children, etc. All right, but then there's another more important level, which is actually writing them down. Okay, how can you expect the world to give them to you if they're not written down? Okay, so we've got to write them down. On my bucket list, for the people that know that terminology, I've actually just started to, in the ones that are going to cost money, I've put a column of what the total amount that it's going to cost to do all of that, and then another column which is the amount of time that I'm going to need to be able to do it. If you didn't already know this, we're all not getting out of this thing alive, all right? There is a time clock on all of us, all right? So for me, it's then maximising what you want to do, and that doesn't mean that you've got to buy a Ferrari. I've got that up there, but that you might have just a spiritual set of goals. Good. But are they written down? That's the key. Okay, so if you've got high amount of clarity, you're going to give yourself a 10 out of 10. If you're like, I haven't even thought about that, you're going to give yourself a 0. Be honest. Be honest, okay? I'm not going to check in on you. This is you telling you where you actually are. Now, here's an interesting thing. Life, as I said, we're not getting out here alive. In Australia, the average life is 81, depending on your gender, about 81 or 2 years. Okay, that's how long we're here for, right? Now, if your age is 40 and you're going to hit those, you've got 2,184 weeks left. If you're at 50 and you're going to 82, you've got 1,664 weeks left. 60, 70, 20, etc. So no matter whether you're got some youth on your side, Jacob, or you're an old hand, no judgment. All I'm saying is we've got to get moving, you guys. All right, we've got things to do. Who's got things to do before you want to check out? Cool. So, what are they? But that was just, I always put this up just to say, hey, I'm going to give you a bit of a check on where you are. Now, some people go, I've read a book which tells me I can live to 120. And I'm like, all right, well, that's good. And therefore, this next slide is more important for you. If you said that you wanted to take it easy and not have to work by the age of 60, right? Now, again, you say the word retirement to some people. Some people throw tomatoes at me because they don't believe in that and all that. Eventually, you're not going to be able to work, guys, if you hadn't already, having one of those things, the walking frame, in your business, eventually is not a cool look, all right? So we all have to not work at some stage. So you just got to think about how you want to play it. If you're 60 and you're going to 82, you need then, and you wanted to save $100,000 a year, you need to have amassed by that time a minimum of $2.2 million of net worth that can give you that sustainability and passive lifestyle. Does that make sense? It's all of a sudden we're not, boo, yeah, this is really good, Bruiser, okay? So, and if you wanted to live off $250,000, you need $5.5 million. Okay, so my question is not to judge you on wherever you want, at what age you want to take life a bit easier, what you want in terms of salary and income along the way. What I'm trying to do is trying to get you to think, am I on the right trajectory to get me to what I want in terms of a perfect life that's going to require money? Does that make sense? Who's got a bit of work to do on this one? Come on, I know you're out there. All right. So, then there's a very simple principle on this one, which I won't do in a lot of depth, but I am going to get you to write those 3 words down. What's the first one, everyone? Then, make, invest, stuff. Okay? Any business should be there, if it's a profitable business, there to make money. Okay? There needs to be left over. Okay? Then you go and do what with that money? Invest it, and then the investment buys you the stuff. That buys you more of those dreams and goals that I went and talked about. What do most people do? They skip a step here. What do? They go and make it and then buys the stuff. I literally wished I'd been taught this at 18. All right? I would have made a lot more better decisions in my life. Okay? Make it, invest, stuff, not the other way around. Okay, so in terms of destination mastery, I'm going to give you, make sure you've got your score down, all right, of where you are. The second part of mastery, guys, I'm going to shift now, was what, everyone? Money mastery. So that's knowing your numbers, truly knowing your numbers. Are you looking at your profit and loss sheets, your balance sheets? Most people don't do enough of that. Most people don't even know what a balance sheet is in the business. Very important tool. Now, when we're going and looking at all of these, I'm going to get you to look at this little diagram here. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is a Cessna 152. Anyone for me? Any pilots in the room? Okay, we've got 2 pilots. Here we go. Ivan, of course we've got a pilot in the room. This Cessna, on average, can go at this speed. All right, it looks a little bit of an older one, Ivan. You're probably now telling me, but it doesn't go a huge amount in terms of velocity. So if you think about this, if you're flying this Cessna, the aircraft company said, hey, these are the amount of dials that you need in the cockpit to fly at those type of velocities. Does that make sense? Okay. This, guys, is the Space Shuttle Columbia's. When it comes back through the atmosphere, that's how fast it's doing. Can you notice a subtle difference in the amount of dials in that cockpit? Yes or no? Okay, good. So here's the learning. This will be a bit of a boom boom for some of you. Most people are trying to go really fast with their business, yet they've got shitty dials, all right, or no dials. Therefore, when they're trying to fly their aeroplane, they're doing it based on gut. I've got a definition for gut. Please write this down. Gave up thinking. Now, I'm all good with intuitive and what have you, I just don't see a lot of really rich people that are growing their companies doing it purely on gut. So out of tonight, I'm going to suggest to you that better dials, better optics in the cockpit allows you to make better decisions. Okay, so anytime, and any of the clients that are in the room, most times when we come to make a kind of a crucial decision, there'll be some form of optic. My clients in the room, who agrees with me? There'll be a scenario analysis, some form of critical thinking before we go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Here's another way to say it. All of my bad ideas started out as a good idea. Who'd agree with me on that one? That you woke up and you went, holy, that's a really good idea. I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to start that company, or I'm going to do something, or this product or service is going to make me heaps, and then it turned out to be a bad idea. Who's ever done that? Okay, so for me, more critical thinking, write this down, more critical thinking will, with good optics, will help you make less dumb ideas. I'll leave you with the final quote on that one. I could go on a bit further, but I won't. All of my problems started out as a good idea. Every single one of them. All of my problems did, and same with you. So, better optics. So we need, guys, better on these two here. What's the first one, everyone? Nice and loud? Budgeting. If you think about those cockpits, whether you're flying the small one or the big one, before, I think it's a rule, Ivan's a pilot up the front and an instructor, so he's about to correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's a rule that you actually got to do a flight plan before you can jump in the thing, by law. Okay, so if you think about that, a flight plan is a plan. It's budgeting. It's saying how much fuel you're going to need, what's the weather doing today, etc. Budgeting and reporting is the same thing for a business, yet most people don't have enough clarity on that area of the business. Therefore, we've got to go back to a bit more gut thinking. Does that make sense? Okay, good. It's also knowing when this happens here. What's these two words here, you guys? Shout them out. Break even. So if you think about this, most Australian businesses will start off on the Monday and they start running. Okay, they start running, and there's a certain point in the week when they pay all the expenses and the cost of whatever goods or services they're selling, and they hit their break-even point, and then the rest is cream. Just so you know, the stats in Australia is that basically most Australian businesses have to work through till about 2 o'clock on a Friday on an average 5-day week. If you're a 7-day business, good, this will apply just on the, in terms of a 7-day week. They got to do that amount of running before you actually have paid all the costs off. So, in my businesses that we coach and run, I want to know, what is my break even? When does that actually happen? Do we actually have some form of measurement, be it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, where we can kind of pretty much walk up to someone, give them a high five, and then we know that we've broken even for the week? Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Highly crucial. And the purple one there, I want you to write down, what's it say, everyone? Come on, more than 4.5 people. Maximum utilisation. Okay, so what that is saying is, what's my current business, what's the total amount that it can produce if I filled it up with business? So most people actually don't know what's the total amount I can actually put through my business. I remember I went to a sheet metal business here on the coast about a decade ago, and I walked in and I said, what's your percentage production rate? What's your efficiency? How many hours are you cutting steel, etc. in a given week? And he went, we're at least at 90%. And I said, that's interesting. I said, what time does your night shift start? What do you reckon the answer was? What night shift? No, we only go from 6 till 4:30, buddy. 5 days a week. And I said, well, you might be 90% for the Monday through Friday, big guy, but you are at about probably 30% on a given week. Here's a question for you. Who's ever heard of Rio Tinto BHP? Raise your hand. Do you think if they did a Monday through Friday from 6 till 4 that those guys would make any money? Yes or no? No. They're open 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Okay, that's why they have to do that, to be able to break even and make a profit in those type of businesses. Does that make sense, everyone? So what's your maximum utilisation? If you really dialed your business up, what could you do? I always like starting there and then working backwards, because then it says, all right, well, I know that that's how much I've got to play with. Does that make sense? It's also very important, do you think, that you did know that, so that then if you're going to spend money on assets, cars, net fixed assets, whatever that looks like, that I know what, I've gone into some companies, I've said, what's your maximum utilisation? They tell me this, but they spent money to about that much in terms of the fit out or et cetera, et cetera. They weren't going to pay that back even at maximum utilisation for 10 or 15 years. Who's ever seen that happen where people over-capitalised on something? That's just, they didn't have those simple metrics. So, test and measure, you guys. Test and measure, hugely important of knowing what's coming into the business. I only just give you a couple here that I think are so important but we don't do. Do you think it would be a good idea to know the number of leads or inquiries that a company gets? Yes or no? Yeah. Yes or no, guys? Yes. Yeah, it's fundamental. Do you think it would be good to know the strike rate or conversion rate of those leads? Going back a step, do you think it would be good on the leads to actually know which marketing channel they heard about us? Do you think that would be a good idea? Yeah. Yeah, it would be, all right? Whether they were referral, web, walk by, etc., etc. What are we doing there? I think most businesses we coach, I like to be able to figure out that one, is what's my return rate of my customers? Some might buy once, some might buy 1,000 times, but I think before we start doing strategies that's going to drive some of these areas, do you think it'd be a good idea if we know what's our average transaction rate of our customers? Yes or no? Yes. Do we want customers that are giving us long repeat business or short? Long. Okay, I love businesses where there's a long transaction rate with every business. So what's yours right now? Do you think it would be a good idea in the products and services that we do that we know the gross margin on the service that we're providing? Yes or no? Yes. We've got some people in here I know right now have got homework that should be, kick in the butt, getting this done, is so that you can say, hey, which ones are my profitable ones, which ones aren't, so I can make the decision on how I want to shape my business. Now there's just a simple few. I missed one. Do you think it'd be a good idea if we knew how much every time they transacted, what my average dollar sale was? Yes or no? Yeah, I want to know that. Okay, McDonald's decided I'm not a big fan of their company, but they're smart in some things that they do in business. Back in the 1980s, they decided to ask their customers one question to drive this area of their business globally. What was the question? Fries. Would you like fries with that? Okay. And when they did that, that put 16 million profit per day on their business globally with one question. I always ask this, what question are you asking your clients? Okay. I was coaching a law firm many years ago, and I said that they were in family law, right? And did all of that side of life, etc. They also did a bit of commercial. And I said, well, what's one average dollar sale? And they said, oh, well, look, we can't ask certain questions on that. And I said, bullshit, you can ask that. I said, what do most people in Australia need to have more of? And they said, oh, well, most times their wills aren't up to date. They have a kid or something happens where a change of life, divorce, etc., etc. So guess what, those guys, their one question that they asked on the McDonald's one, Would you like a will with that? Okay. When they did that, that put an extra $600 on average on their average dollar sale just with one question. Did that question cost them much to ask? Yes or no? No. Is it systemised too? That'd be another thing that I'd say to you. So this is all under this banner of what, you guys? Test and measure. If we're not testing and measuring the business, you don't know. Okay, on money mastery, knowing the optics, the dials, balance sheets, P&Ls, all those different parts that I just went through, give yourself an honest score of where you're playing now and your awareness of all of those. Okay, 10 out of 10, everything I just said you've ticked the box on, you know it, great. And 0 is, shit, I got some work. Who's got some work on this one, you guys? I'd even say for even the old hands, there's stuff to do on this one, okay? You know, if you think about this, take your health for do you stop going to the doctor or any practitioner to ask for some more optics on you? That's why it's still at 80 or 90, they'll still hook you up to a blood pressure because they're wanting to do tests and measure on you. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. I'm going to go on to the third part of mastery. What is it, you guys? Time mastery. One circle. This is all I want to do on time mastery. This is called the time target. What's it called, everyone? Time target. The time target has, everyone's scribbling this down. Please do it. It has 4 different bands. How many? 4. The first one here in yellow is what, everyone? What is it, guys? Distraction. So when we're in a distracted state, up here we're doing not urgent tasks, here in the purpley pink, and they're also not what, you guys? They're not important. Okay, so in that we're doing, well, you tell me, give me some examples in business of things that you do that you'll be in a distracted state. Not urgent, not important. Just yell them out. Facebook's, but that's been my biggest pain in the ass since old Mr. Zuckerberg did that one. I mean, there's power in it. Most people say to me, who said that, by the way? Okay, good. And you actually do use Facebook well. The thing is that people will say to me, oh, you know, I'm just marketing. I'm doing marketing. Yeah, bull crap. You're checking in and liking your friend's bloody Badgery Guard's meal. Okay? So good example, taking the trash out, you know, thinking that, you know, you're the only face of the business could be one of them as well. Okay, that's that one. Distraction. What's the second one, everyone? Delusion. Okay? Delusion is where a lot of people spend their life. So this one is a difference. So this is, they're doing very urgent tasks. At the time, it feels like if we don't go and sort whatever's out in front of me, okay, my head's going to fall off. The business is going to crumble. So very much a kind of a firefighting, very much reactive. We see something, we do it straight away. But then we turn around after the fact and go, was it that important? And it's like, no. Who's ever got home to your spouse after a day and the spouse says, or whoever you go home to, your dog, and says, how was your day? And you sort of kind of cower over and say, honey, I've had the busiest day known to mankind, but I feel like I got nothing done. Who's ever had that type of day? Good. You're in which one here? Everyone that just raised their hand. You're in delusion. Actual fact, just say to the person beside and you're so delusional. Just say that now. Get it out of the way. There we go. So that's in a lot of urgency, not that important. What's this one here, you guys? Read it out. Demand. Okay, so what we're doing there, yes, it is urgent, but it's also very important. So this is the production side of your business. This is doing things that are actually generating revenue. And we do need, who's ever heard of on versus in your business? Who's heard that one? Most of the room. Okay, so this is sort of the in the business, the production side of the business. That's a really good thing, okay? We do need in the business, that's okay. But here's the one that always gets left out. Nice and loud in the red here. What is it, you guys? Zone. So what we're doing here is not urgent, but really, really important. Not urgent, but really important. So for some of the people in the room that are my clients, was it really urgent to do the marketing plan last quarter? And for most of them, the answer would be, not really. Like it wasn't urgent that they had to do it right then. But my question is, was it really important that they wrote that marketing plan last quarter? Yes or no? Yeah, it is 100% important. So this normally is not the most crucial things to do at that time. Now, I want you to write, please, draw a little arrow into demand. This one here is like the law of vacuum. Who's ever knows much about a black hole, all right, there's this suction into the business, then that will allow you not to go and do work on the business. And my question to you guys, hang on, does that make sense on the black hole thing? Yes or no? Okay, is that the in the business will always pull you in. And my question to you, are you going to grow your business, yes or no? If you stay in the business only. And the answer is no. So the crucial thing is, how do you then split this? This is the other reason why coaching works, is because I force you to come and work on your business. I'm taking people out for weekends, having board meetings with people, having coaching sessions in the office where they actually have to come and present their on the business. We don't talk about, the in the business stuff in our coaching sessions. I don't know much about, I'm looking at one of my clients that I know nothing about building, all right? But I do know how to run a business that involves building. Does that make sense? So my question is, in terms of how many hours a week, I'd like you to write down how many hours a week you're in the zone working on the business, doing that high-level critical thinking around the business. And if you're haven't got enough in this one, I promise you will stagnate the growth of your company. You quote me on that, you can challenge me on that. I've had people come up to me after a seminar like tonight and argue that one, and I'm cool. But it will stagnate your business, okay? Or here's a better question. What would it take for you, write this question down, what would it take for you to double the amount of on the business thinking time? What would you have to do? How could you shelter yourself so that you could do more think time? I have 4 clients right now that go in their respective suburbs or towns. Because it's so chaotic, because they can't even do it at home, they have to go to the library. They've got to go and sit where the person says, do not talk in this section of the library, so that they can go and do this thinking time, to get in front of this black hole idea. Does that make sense? Who feels like they need a little bit, I've got to block myself away and have a think time? I'd nearly say most of you do, okay? And here's another thing. I don't normally present this. What most people think, quote me on this, what most people think when they're doing critical thinking time is all it is just rearranging your existing thoughts. There's actually nothing new. There's nothing that is a higher level of critical thinking. All the people that I end up working with, I always say, you want to do some great critical thinking, write this down, start with a question. Our brains are wired to solve questions. So if you have a team meeting and you've got a problem that you're trying to solve, etc., rather than say a statement like, oh, well, how do we get the customer, what's the customer service? Let's work on customer service. That's a dumb statement. Okay, a better question would be, how do we take the breath away of our clients? That might be a better question. how do I create true leverage in my life? There's another question, all right? So, that all comes from having more zone time. Does that make sense? Hello? Yeah. Okay, good. So, give yourself a score out of 10 on time mastery. The last one, I don't have a lot on this, on delivery mastery in terms of flip charts. Delivery mastery, remember that was our fourth part of mastery. I haven't even got out of the chaos to control yet. We'll get onto the other fun stuff here in a minute, but if the business stays in chaos, we're never going to get the thing truly profitable. Mastery around delivery is just making sure, well, let me give you an example. We went and talked to a cafe about 11 years ago, I still remember it. And I walked in and I said, great, nice cafe, how many seats have you got? And they said, look, we've got 60 seats. And I said, no problemo. I said, how many coffee cups have you got? And they said, 50. So right there and then, we have a delivery mastery problem. We've actually not done any real true blue critical thinking around how to maximise the space, maximise their products, etc., etc. So anytime we work with people, we're wanting to make sure that the delivery mastery of their business is also solid. Does that make sense? So just give you a score of how your delivery mechanism goes. You know, do you have a lot of repeat clientele, etc., etc. That will normally dictate whether you're very good on delivery mastery. Okay, guys, I'm going to shift. Give the person beside you a quick high five and say, now we're ready to make money. Let's go.